Alex Hormozi, welcome to the 10X Capital podcast.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
It's great to have you. So you have one of these stories where you've made and lost your money twice. You went from hero to zero and now back to $150 million net worth. How'd you get here?
Geez, I'll give you the shortest version possible. So I was a management consultant right out of college, did well in school, did 2 years of that. I went to go apply to, all the big Ivy Leagues to get an MBA. And one of the questions on the test was, how will a Harvard MBA help your short and long-term goals? And I sat there for like 4 days trying to answer the question. And then I just came to the conclusion that it wasn't going to help my short and long-term goals, which is probably why they asked those questions on the application. So I was like, I guess I'm going to do fitness. Basically what I would do is I would sign a lease and then start running ads before I even had anything built out. And the model that I had was not very difficult to get the equipment for. I would generate enough pre-sales from the launch to cover the entire opening of the gym. From there, started doing gym turnarounds. It was during that process that I lost my money twice. Once was with a partner at the very beginning who was like, I filled his gym up and he said, hey, I'll come behind you and I'll just operate all the gyms. Then you don't have to give anything away. You'll just own them all. And then promptly took the money out of the business that I had saved up from selling the 6 gyms that I had. And so that sucked. But I learned a valuable lesson, which is in general, if you have the option between getting into business with someone who's already been indicted for fraud.
All things being equal.
Yeah. If you have no option, everybody that has been indicted for fraud, then, you have to just choose the best one. But for me, that was big lesson number one. Honestly, it was like 4 or 5, 6 months later, it happened again. So I called the next gyms that were supposed to launch and told them, hey, we're getting out of the business. We're going to do something else. One of the guys says, hey, launch my buddy's gym. And so I picked the highest number I could think of because I wanted to get him off the phone and he already said he was broke. And so I said $6,000 and he said, $6,000, done. And I remember just like looking at the phone, being like, holy crap, like what just happened? I had 7 more calls that day. And next call, same thing. How much? $8,000. Next call, same thing. How much? $10,000. Ended up doing $60,000 in sales in a day. I could finally breathe again. I was officially just broke again, but no debt. And then from that, the next month, I think we did 220, then 380, then 480, then 780, then $1 million, then 1.2, then 1.5, then I think it was like 1.82, 2.2, and it went all the way up to 4.4 million a month within 20 months. We ended up packaging those companies and selling them to American Pacific Group. I sold 2/3 at a 46.2 million valuation in an all cash deal.
That was your first big exit.
That was the first big exit. And during the 5 years, we took out 42 million in distributions. So that was like still a very cash flow positive business. But I just didn't want to I'd been in gyms for like a decade at that point. So I was ready to just not be the gym guy anymore. And on Christmas Day, I officially started acquisition.com. The thesis I had was everybody wants proprietary deal flow and everybody wants people who trust them when they get into a deal process. I wonder if somebody has merged like a influencer social media brand with the traditional private equity model.
Tell me about the social media ramp up, year 0, year 1, year 2. How quickly did that ramp?
I had the Gym Secrets podcast.
Was that an interview style?
No, just me, just talking head. So I lost all my money the second time, April of 2017. And my first podcast episode is July of 17. You can follow the whole thing from 0 back again 90 days after I was at 0.
We both know many people that make a lot of money, then lose it, and oftentimes make even more on the come up. Why is losing all your money a prerequisite for success?
I hope it doesn't have to be. Third time's the charm for me.
Probably 50% of the people I know worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars have gone through this arc. There's something there. What is it?
That makes me feel better. I think I would say there's 2 completely dichotomous things that come out of it. On one hand, you earn a very healthy respect for risk. Not everything is going to work out. On the other hand, you know that you've lost everything and yet you are still here. And so it's this healthy appreciation for risk that's completely contrasted with the utter comfort with losing it all anyways, because you got there and, I joke about this, but Layla and I were happy when we were poor. We're just about as happy now.
Makes you anti-fragile.
Yeah, it's perfect. Exactly.
And how does that practically help?
With the healthy appreciation for risk, we are willing to take fewer, but more strategic big swings. You have to make big bets. So you have to be willing to go to 0. But at the same time, knowing that not all bets are going to be good ones. I feel like that is fundamentally the basis of good investing.
There's some huge power laws when it comes to venture capital, one of the investments. And because of that, you don't have to make huge investments. You can make small checks. Jason Calacanis invested $25,000, made $100 million for Sequoia. Is that the same thing in your private equity business? Are you able to make small bets and make huge returns? Or do you really have to have more of a concentrated portfolio?
The concentration for us right now is because we're super operationally involved. And so this is something that we're, to be very candid, like we're actively looking at. Is there a way that we can maybe do less? And so, on one hand, we've considered opening up a venture arm, which is something that we're strongly considering right now. On the more traditional private equity route, we have made small bets relative to the amount of money that we've made. So we've had monster returns from a percentage basis, but the amount of work that has gone into those companies. The company that was at 2 million that went to 110, we've done a lot of work. To be fair, the founders have done an amazing job. They're awesome people. The credit should go to them, but we've done a lot of work too. And the same thing with the brick and mortar chains that we have. We have tended to go towards operationally complex businesses that just require lots of people. And I think it's just because Layla and I are very comfortable in those types of environments. We both came from a service-based background. But one of the big kind of like arbitrages we were talking right before we started the show, 40% of our portfolio is software, and we don't talk about it as much. And part of the reason I don't talk about it in my content as much is because I think 78% of all businesses are service businesses. It applies to such a small slice of the demographic that I would rather just talk about the thing that applies to most people. But we take a lot of the best practices that we've learned from traditional service businesses and then apply them to software as a service businesses, because a lot of the same things work. It's just a lot of it's automated, and that's where you get, huge returns on it.